Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next level tactics. From offsite and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition. Now, here's your host, Nate Need.
Welcome again to another episode of the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Today we will be discussing a little bit more about how to learn SEO. Obviously, we present this podcast as a means and a method for newbies as well as intermediates, and I think you need a little bit more in-depth information, either in a video or an actual article, to be kind of presenting really highly technical SEO topics. But we do cover kind of the beginner and intermediate here on the podcast. Obviously, the podcast is a great place to get that information. I think YouTube is also great. There are other helpful resources like Moz Academy and literally hundreds of training resources online where you can get further information on how to become an SEO expert. And we try to provide that information as much as possible for free, regardless of whether or not you're new in the industry or been in it for a really long time. There is always something new, a new tactic, something someone else has experimented with, had success with. So we're always learning, but at some point, 90% of what's out there is a little bit regurgitated. Having said that, though, there's a lot of content that we also want to present to our users to educate them, because what we do like to have is we thrive the most on having very educated, very knowledgeable clients, because then there's less of a learning curve and less pushback when issues arise, because they already are kind of familiar with how things work and how the industry operates. And that's extremely helpful. So we try to provide as much of that as possible on site and add additional value to people who might be coming and visiting our website and the other websites that we operate. So that's always helpful. On the flip side, we also want to present and give information to those who may be looking to learn SEO. And really dive deep and understand all the nuances. It's really unfortunate that our industry is completely unregulated and the Wild West. It's not like it was in the past. So you have a lot of great review sites that can help provide information on knowing whether or not the SEO agency that you're working for is actually qualified and can perform well. But on the flip side, there's still just a lot of there are a lot of crooked players out there, usually on the local SEO side, that'll take a lot of money and not deliver a lot of results, or make a lot of promises that just don't hold any water at all. And so what we're trying to do here on the podcast is provide that information for free, but also provide links to other resources that might be extremely helpful for training and learning purposes. So what we've done recently is we've released a series of videos. We also continue to release information here on the podcast that is helpful, hopefully helpful to those that are listening. And I'm going to link to the training videos here in the show notes here on the podcast. But SEO is really, there are several parts to SEO that are critical for complete SEO success. And I think we follow a pretty time-tested process in our the way we treat our clients. We first start with keyword research. We define goals of what the client wants to do, and when we do that keyword research, we're identifying keywords that competitors are ranking for, analyzing those competitors, defining what metrics we want to rank and how we want to use those metrics to rank. We're also providing typically a high-level SEO audit at the outset, so that'll check for any indexation issues. When in doing so, we use Screaming Frog And then once we provide that audit, which is very deep, we provide information on meta tags, any crawl issues, H1 tags, image size issues, image meta descriptions, any content duplication issues, and not just duplicate content, but actually content that might be competing with each other. So you might have a piece of content that talks about dogs, and then another piece of content that talks about black dogs, and maybe they're competing for a very highly relevant, highly competitive term in your niche, and you didn't know that. And so providing that content audit. And then once we have all that information, we can then make recommendations, as well as do the execution on those recommendations for optimizing on-site elements. And that might include site speed, it might include consolidating and redirecting content, maybe even 404ing some content. And then the technical implementation for things like local SEO, adding snippets, adding things that for keyword snippets that might be indexed in rich snippet text information. And then once we really get the on-site elements done, including internal links, we can go out and really procure those inbound links from highly trusted and social sources that you might be looking for, and then measure and report that back to the client. And so as we present this information, this FYI, so to speak, when it comes to educating our clients, we want to do so in such a way that we can go measure, iterate, report, and improve, and then come back and show the increases that we have obtained. And what's interesting too is that as you understand the process of SEO, it's not just, hey, how do I add how do I block something in my robots.txt file? No, but once you understand the process of SEO in general, you're better able to figure out where the elements fit, how they fit, and then you can dive deep into the technical aspects of things like, what's the difference between a redirect 301, a redirect match 301, a redirect 302, and how that impacts your SEO going forward and things like that. So we hope you continue to visit. We've had some great feedback in the last couple weeks regarding the content that we're providing here on the podcast. So we hope you to continue to visit, as well as provide that feedback. Give us the information we want to see. I'm going to be linking to a number of things in the show notes here, because these are mostly for resources that we recently released, and hoping that it will provide the benefit that we're hoping it will provide to our users and visitors. So appreciate you joining us. Look forward to having you again soon. Please subscribe, as well as give us that feedback, that positive feedback or negative as well, that we need to improve the podcast here. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.